Just pick a series. And you, literally, if you said, hey, tell me about your alumni in the IndyCar series, and I would just rattle off names, and that's exactly what I'll do now. Colton Herta, Michael Andretti, Marco Andretti, Kyle Kirkwood, Joseph Newgarden, Alexander Rossi, Santino Ferrucci, Stingray Robb, Connor Daly. It's the small portion. More than 50% of all IndyCar drivers have done some form of training with us. And then we can quickly move into other platforms. Formula One, Sergio Perez, Scott Speed, Alexander Rossi, Michael Andretti, Juan Pablo Montoya, the Cup Series, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, anybody in the karting community, and there are thousands of them, many thousands across the world, need to know who we are, what we do, and why we're different, why there's a benefit, why we believe the best and only place to go from karts to cars is with us. It's really validating to have people come up to me and say things like, Dan, this is arguably the best day of my life. And I'm like, well, listen, don't tell your wife, don't tell your children, but after that, it's a pretty good deal. Hi, my name is Dan DeMonte. This is Cars and Culture with Jason Stein.
Dan, what a pleasure to have you on the program. When I think about training and high speed and excellence in amateur and professional drivers, I mean, it's Skip Barber. It's pure and simple. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to get on. And I'm actually a fan. I've listened to many of your podcasts, and I like them, enjoy them, and appreciate your radio voice.
Oh, thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate yours too. Let's talk about maybe just present day. And I'm going to get into the folks who are excelling on professional tracks, but what are you working on today? Skip Barber always has something going on. So what are you working on?
A lot. We're very fortunate to be a party to have this iconic brand. I've got an iconic brand. I've got a great team. This is a family business. It's myself, it's my brother, and it's my two sisters. This is now year 8 for us underneath the as a Skip Barber brand. We've been in the driving and racing school business for about 16 years and racing for 32. And so their current activity every day, yesterday is a good example. We have a corporate office about an hour east of New York City, where we just opened up a sim center. And we've got 10 simulators where we do two things. We're training the next generation of drivers. We had a great, very talented young man, 11-year-old, coming out of Calgary, Canada, who came in for training yesterday and today. And last night we had a sim race for a group of local people. And so that's a good example of today's world. Sims have become important for drivers. There's a retail presence now in the community. It's, Sims, almost there's a Top Golf model out there today. And so that's an example of one of the growth areas that we have. So for us, it's paying homage to the history, being present in what we do, and then looking towards the future to expand and grow and maintain the product that we fortunately have been able to gain access to from Skip Barber himself, who started in 1975. This is our 50th anniversary, and in fact, this week he was inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame, which we're very proud. We're friends with Skip. My brother, in particular, maintain a relationship with him, seek advice from time to time, and we're very fortunate to be able to work with a brand that I've known since I'm a child.
It's amazing the development and the growth of the brand, but even just the 8 years that you just mentioned, how much have you and your family grown into the role, and how much has I think the operation changed over the course of the last decade?
It's a lot of the same, and it's very new. One of the things that we did when we took on the brand almost 8 years ago was sit down with people that came from the firm and that had done such a good job for so many years. Terry Earwood, Bruce McGinnis, if you follow instructors, they are at the very top of the list. In fact, Terry's in 2 Hall of Fames. And then the opportunity to develop new people and to be able to bring those types of things. From a sales and marketing standpoint, the ability to attract somebody like a Scott Hardinger and a Chris Kretzmer, between the two of them, actually between the four of them, they have been involved with Skip Barber for 100 years. It's a true statement. And so taking that talent, but it's a new day and it's a new place and it's not 1975 anymore. And so the industry has changed, the business has changed. Fortunately, we've been in and around this for our entire lives. If you go back far enough, my dad was a drag racer and he was a weekend manager for New York National Speedway. So I grew up around this. And that we've been racing for 32 years. My brother Anthony is my business partner. He's the CEO. I'm the CMO. And he started racing when he was 18, and we raced for 32 years, ultimately through platforms like the World Challenge and ultimately in the NASCAR series at the time, the Busch North Series.
You were somewhat destined to be doing this, weren't you then?
We were fortunate to be able to, destiny's a funny thing. I think a lot of times we all think we get to pick and choose our lives, but I'm not sure how much of that is true. So I think that's exactly right.
So thinking about your family's involvement, just going back those 8 years, what was appealing about it? Why Skip Barber?
It was the epitome of what a racing and driving school should be, has been, and we think can continue to be. So we had been in that business for 8 or 9 years. We had cars, we had instructors, we were operating at the New Jersey Motorsports Park. And so we had built a nice business. And we wanted to go to a national or international platform, and timing just was such that this brand was available. They had went through many changes in the many years at the time, 41 or 42 years. And it happened to be that we were literally at the right place at the right time and wanted to do this. Specifically, my brother, I had some ideas about what we could do to develop our own brand, but he said, no, we've got to do this. If we're so fortunate to have this opportunity, this is absolutely positively the way to go. And he was 100% right. Sometimes I don't want to admit that. He's my younger brother, but it's been amazing that the power, the influence of the brand itself has been incredible. The stories, we're putting together actually our own podcast, and we're going to call it Skip Barber Stories because everyone has one. And it's been amazing. Anything from an individual who came out to see us 40 years ago to Joseph Newgarden.
And that's the beauty of it that most people might not know. Joseph Newgarden, been on this program. He was on the program a week before he won Indy a couple of years ago. Let's talk a little bit about that strong connection between Skip Barber and the drivers who are out there. You produce a bit of a highlight reel almost every week with a number of folks who have gone through your program and who end up in the winner's circle, or who, frankly, are just competing at the highest levels. What do you think makes it so? What's the secret sauce that gets Skip Barber drivers onto the big stage?
I think it's consistency. I think it's playing at a very high level. This is a curriculum that has evolved, but many parts of it are the same since 1975 or 1985. And so that's very important. And because of that, people that are serious about racing, are serious about developing their career, come to us. And you can't pick a platform in racing and not have a true lineage of successful drivers. And that's from many, many years ago, and it happens today. And just pick a series. And you literally, if you said, hey, tell me about your alumni in the IndyCar series, and I would just rattle off names, and that's exactly what I'll do now. Colton Herta, Michael Andretti, Marco Andretti, Kyle Kirkwood, Joseph Newgarden, Alexander Rossi, Santino Ferrucci, Stingray Robb, Connor Daly. It's the small portion. More than 50% of all IndyCar drivers have done some form of training with us. And then we can quickly move into other platforms. Formula One, Sergio Perez, Scott Speed, Alexander Rossi, Michael Andretti, Juan Pablo Montoya, the Cup Series, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson. So it's amazing. And some people come out for a day or two, and some people have spent years with us or have been in our series. Most of the most serious people that have aligned themselves with us, or we with them, have come through the Skip Barber Racing Series, which started in 1976. And this series for 2025 kicks off here in the first week of April at Sebring International Raceway. And it's not just history, it's today. If you look at two of the finer young drivers in the United States, it's Oliver and Sebastian Weldon. And that's a huge compliment that they came to this organization, for me anyway, because a few years ago, it was time for them to go from karts to cars. And their mom, Susie, and they have a very close relationship with the Andretti's, and they have good sponsorship in Group 1001 in Gainbridge. And it was time to them to decide where to go. Now, these people have a lot of great knowledge, and this is J.F. Thorman and Alex Moeller and Doug as well at Andretti. And they looked around the world to find what they thought was the best place for these young people that have this amazing and tragic history, of course, with their dad. And so they both came out at different times. First Sebastian, then Oliver. They both did great. They both won the our championship. And today for Oliver, he's headed to USF. He's had a great season with us last year. Prior to that, Sebastian also won the series. He was very successful at USF. Now he runs with the Prima team and Italian F4, and already won his first race earlier this year in the Middle East.
How do you stay on top of the best techniques for drivers? I mean, circuits change, driver ability changes. You know that drivers are getting younger and younger and younger, and they're getting more karting experience at an impossibly young age. How do you stay sharp?
It's the same combination of taking the historical success that you have and utilizing what's available to you today. It's training the best instructors because we have to have that next generation. And for us, that's Mike Stillwagon and Carter Fartuck and Mike Ogren, and spend hours and hours of time to have people and work closely with us. I think last year, the business is structured that my brother Anthony runs all the operations, and I do the sales and marketing. Those are our background, our skill sets. And so the ability to bring the right people in, I think last year they, as a group, interviewed some 40 odd people, and I think they hired 2 or 3. Very critical, very picky, and use technology and use sims and all the things that it takes, and do your homework and have relationships and understand not just the platforms, the vehicles, and what it takes for drivers to be successful. And it's not just young drivers. We have the Skip Barber race team. We have an 8-car team. We run an SRO as well as IMSA. And so we'll have gentleman drivers at 40, 50, or 60 come out and participate. So having the right people, having the right success, being empathetic, being sympathetic. You can be a good driver, not necessarily a good coach or a good trainer. And we're fortunate to have the best.
Does it just get harder and harder to, I guess, well, let me ask it this way. Does it get more competitive? Are there others out there trying to do what you're doing, and you've got to sort of fight against that? And as the CMO, it's your job to say, well, actually, this is what we do.
I don't think it gets harder. I think we play at a very high level and have for the entire history of the organization. And I think we work very hard to be very good every day, operationally, telling the story, having the right equipment. We spent a lot of time and a lot of money to have the right vehicles. For example, we're the largest operator of F4 Megals in the country. We have 30 of those cars. We just opened a 45,000 square foot facility at Virginia International Raceway. It's a beautiful place, and it's a place where we can repair and prepare our cars. We've got 7 tractors, 11 trailers. We have classrooms, we have conference rooms, we have lounge areas, all the things that allow us to provide, we think, the best experience. And it's not just, when people ask me about competition, I don't talk about maybe another program or platform. For me, really, competition is money, specifically on the consumer side. We do a lot of very technical training, but a lot of what we do is 1 or 3 day programs, and that's for the person who wants to be Jimmy Johnson or Lewis Hamilton for a day. And so for that reason, they can come see us, or they can go skydiving, or they can get in a fast boat And so we need to play at a very high level every day, be respectful. So when people come out to see us, we're not inexpensive. We're not a cheap date. And so in order to do that, they have to bring the two scarce resources we all have, which is time and money. And for that reason, we have to be respectful of their commitment and be committed to them every day.
Yeah, it's amazing. When you think about the proliferation of interest even in racing series now, and we've had many folks on this program talking about the effect of Formula One's popularity and expansion in North America, Drive to Survive, obviously. Have you seen any change related to that over the course of the last few years? Do more people want to get on the track?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we've been. It looks different today because in the 70s and 80s, you didn't have the level of performance out of the factory. You didn't have the number of track days. You didn't have a lot of these BMW, Porsche experiences. So there's a different path that people can take. But we were fortunate to be at a time when the tide is rising. I look at what some of the other entities have done. So we have a friend in Sean Bratches, he used to be the commercial director of Formula One.
He's been on this program.
And he's a great guy, and he's a talented guy, and he was very much the architect of bringing Drive to Survive and Netflix to that program. And so what they've done is absolutely amazing. We now have 3 Formula One races in the United States. And if you look at statistically, this year is a good example. I went to St. Pete for the first race, the most well-attended St. Pete race ever in IndyCar history. If you look at IMSA, and so we have really nice relationships with Formula One, IndyCar across the board with the Andretti's, with the McLarens. Doug Bowles is a colleague and a friend. They've done a great job. IMSA, if you look at John Doonan and what they've done under the NASCAR tent, rather, as a corporation. And so everything is moving in the right direction, and all of that is good for us. But the reality is we've created a portion of that. So we have been the funnel, the beginning of people that want to get into a car or get into a race car or get into some form of performance driving. And that feeds the industry. So it really works both ways. It's great that racing has been good, but we help racing be good.
Yeah, and I'm guessing your word of mouth, especially among those drivers you talked about a moment ago, is all you need. I mean, it is a rite of passage, isn't it, to go through Skip Barber?
It is. I'd like to say it's all we need. It's a good portion of what we do, the reference and the referral to what we do and what we've done. But today's a different time, and attention spans are smaller, and social media is faster. And so, in addition to the great product and the wonderful team that we have, we've got to tell that story. And everyone in the group does it. I've got the marketing responsibility, and I have support from people like Ryan Kish. But at the end of the day, any interface, any activity that we have with a consumer or customer is very important, no matter what role you play in the company. If you're a tech, you're an engineer, you're an instructor, you work in any one of our facilities. And so all of it's very important. And we all have to remember that, be respectful of the commitment that people bring to us in their time and money, and make sure we make every effort and try and be better every day. We do try. We're not perfect, but we've done a nice job.
Let's talk about some recent news, your partnership with the Orlando Kart Center. How will that work? What are you excited about?
That whole piece is really important to us, and it has been historically. We have been considered the path from carts to cars. And when we restarted the brand and put a lot of time and money into it, we had to kind of pick our points here. And so over the last couple of years, we've now reestablished our position. And so when we communicate with that community, we do it on a couple, 3 levels. We do it via platforms, we do it via facilities, and even teams sometimes. So if you look at platforms in our relationship, in the U.S., we have a nice relationship with USPKS. We have a nice relationship with Margay. Internationally, we have a very nice relationship with Tillotson. KBR is the largest, probably the finest karting location in Mexico, just outside of Mexico City. That's an important relationship for us. And so we look at platforms, look at facilities. We do that with, we just did it recently with OKC in Orlando, with Daniel Lee, and also with Jake Motaz down in Florida at the T4 Kartplex. So as much as almost everybody knows who we are, but they may not know who we are today. and the resources that we have and the vehicles that we provide and the strength of the training that we provide. So you still have to tell your story. And so for me, it should anybody in the karting community, and there are thousands of them, many thousands across the world, need to know who we are, what we do, and why we're different, why there's a benefit, why we believe the best and only place to go from karts to cars is with us. We're under one tent. We have great cars, but we take the car out of it. Our cars are typically between 1% and 2% of each other in performance. Although they're great cars, they're a proper race car, there's a downforce car. We're focused on the driver. You've got to have the right foundation in doing this. We're an academic institution. I perceive us as college in the world of racing.
Yeah, for sure. Have you seen, particularly on the karting side, have you seen those demographics get a little different or change, or whether it's more young girls or younger boys and girls?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen for sure. There's been a growth in the diverse population of race drivers, not as fast as we'd like to see, whether it's somebody who's a professional or just wants to come out for a 1 or a 3 or a 5 day program. Look, the reality is from a mass standpoint, females represent 50% more actually of our population in the United States. Yet a small portion of those become professional race car drivers or even come out for programs. And it's growing. I think when we took over, it was 3 or 4%. And today it's 10 or 11 or something along those lines. And so that's important just from a math standpoint. That I think we'll see a proliferation there. In my mind, in sports, we are the only place where we have a level playing field. You're not going to see a young lady in the NFL. You're not going to see a young lady in the NBA versus the WNBA. You will see them in racing. And the one portion of racing that's done a fantastic job and proven it, quite frankly, is drag racing. And, look at the women that have won championships there. And it's important to be able to provide access, and we're seeing a growth there. We would like to see more, and we work hard to, provide that as a resource, no matter who you are or what you do.
One interesting thing that I noticed just from last year is that the Skip Barber Driving Academy is now a licensed driving school in the state of New York. That's a major milestone, isn't it, Dan?
Huge. So
yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
The Driving Academy has been around for many years. We're one of the fastest defensive driving programs in the United States, in an area where training in the U.S. is not very good as compared to places like Europe. We're taking 16 and 17-year-olds with limited practice and putting them in a 4,000-pound vehicle. And for that reason, incidents, accidents, and injuries are very big between 16 and 21, 22. So it's the racing part of our business is neat and fun. Probably the most important part of our business is the Driving Academy. So we do this all over the United States, and we made a particular effort starting in the state of New York, because we're based here, to get fully licensed and duly licensed. So today you can get your 5-hour class. You can be prepared to take your license test. You can, once you've gone through that and get out to one of our programs, you're able to get 10% discount on your insurance. You're able to get up to 4 points off your license if you've accrued some of those points, over the last 18 months. And that may be the difference between somebody going to work and not. I mean, it's really critical stuff. So we put a lot of effort into that. And in the state of New York, we're building really strong relationships with local PTAs. We have an agreement that we work with Chubb Insurance, and we're looking to expand that. Super important. Got to be done. I wish we had more people to see it and to understand it. What I like to say is you shouldn't just buy your child a car. If you're going to do that, and today the average car is over $40,000, spend $39,000, spend $500 or $1,000 depending upon the program you take with us, and provide them safety and resources for the rest of their lives. You're going to save yourself time, energy, money, heartache. I'm a parent. I've got twin boys. They're 27, and I still worry about them.
Yeah, for sure.
Great program.
Yeah. Is there an opportunity to expand that?
Oh, absolutely. That I believe that, could outdistance even the revenue on the side of the business over a period of time, because there are plenty of people that want to go out and experience a race car or learn how to be a race car driver, but our population is 335 million people. I think 65% of that, 70% actually have a license, and so for that reason, it's amazing. It's something between 6 or 8 million people per year are newly licensed, and it's super critical and super important. In addition to the team driving, we also have what we call a professional driver series. And we do a lot of that work, and that's police departments, Department of Defense, DOJ. It's, believe it or not, autonomous vehicle manufacturers, EV manufacturers. If you have to drive for a living, it's really, really important to have the skill set. If you come out to our program, we do what we call technical car control modules, skid pad, autocross, emergency braking, emergency lane changes, really, really important things. And it's not just for novices. We'll get out. My brother's been racing for 32 years. He still gets out in the skid pad. It's a rough world out there when you're driving a car, and we're very critical and very careful about it. And the resources we provide that. So that is, from a pure revenue standpoint, I expect that to be more and more important to us as we continue to develop the business.
You mentioned it just briefly, but I want to just touch on it. EVs and autonomous, how do they change the Skip Barber approach to driving or training?
Yeah, the world's a funny place. So think about that for a second, autonomous vehicles. And we do a lot of driver training, or what we call safety driver training, for autonomous vehicle manufacturers. Well, that's weird because nobody's driving a car, so why do we need to train them? But the reality is, in the state of California, if you're in that business, you have to have some form of certification in order to do that. And it's critically important to be able to do that. So if you look at that piece of it and the growth that we have, we'll continue to do more of that. And then on the other side, someday when autonomous vehicles don't represent 0.5%, but 20% of the market, coming out to see us on a racetrack in an environment where you can really drive, and we'll say at full tilt, will be even more important. So we look forward to the opportunity of autonomy and some of the changes. The other difficulty is there's technology that's built into cars today that we didn't see when we were younger, and people depend on it, and they don't use their own natural skill sets. And it's a problem, quite frankly. And so we alleviate that problem, and we take people and we make them, whether it's driving or racing, I personally have 5 tenets for a driver, and that's safe, secure, comfortable, competent, confident. We can take you there, whether you're a consumer or you're one of the finest drivers, and you get there. And wherever you take that, you take it. But those are very important things, and that will help continue to grow our business and evolve over a period of time.
And EVs in general, does the propulsion system matter? I'm guessing it doesn't.
Well, it does, right? Because it's a different driving experience. You have to train for different things. I had rented a Model Y, a performance Model Y. And like one pedal driving is very different. It's very cool, and I thought it was neat, and the vehicle was fast. But the second I had the brake bias turned up, and the second you take your foot off the pedal, you're almost on the brakes full force. And if you don't know how you're driving, you have to understand that there's going to be a reaction. You're not out there by yourself. There are people that are in front of you, they're behind you, they're next to you. You have to be aware of your environment and aware of the vehicle you're driving. And whether that's braking or performance, if you put your foot down on a small 4-cylinder, it's going to do one thing. If you put it down on one of our Roush Stage 3s, it's 750 horsepower. The reaction is going to be very different. So each car is different, each track is different, each person is different, and so there's an abundance of opportunity to train people.
When you look at the future of where Skip Barber can go, where are some other areas that you really want to focus in on? And I do want to spend some time talking about SimCraft and your partnership with SimCraft. But I'm guessing Sims, as you alluded to earlier, might be exactly the place to go.
Is one of them. If we look at the continued growth in the areas of our business, which is technical driver training for somebody who wants their license. We're a level 4 accredited firm. Anybody that wants to have the experience on a track is important. There are 1, 3, or 5 day programs at 8 iconic tracks across the country. So that's very important to us. Our corporate event structure is super important to us. That is an important way for people to work together, to get an exciting, interesting, adrenaline-fueled learning day and team bonding. Very, very important part of our business. Our race series is important to us. Our race team is important to us. The driving academy is important to us. But the progression in Sims is an important one. So yesterday was the optimal position. I'm at our facility. We have a corporate center about an hour east of New York City where we house our offices. We have our full-blown race team operating out of there with Joe Manito leading that. And then we also have a 4,000 square foot sim center that's probably the nicest one in the country today from a technical standpoint. And so we had a young man. He came in for training, 11-year-old, very talented kid from Calgary, Canada, trained yesterday, trained today. Last night we had a regional, local race. The week before we had the Jaguar Porsche Club come out. That's under a young man who does a fantastic job for it. His name is Ben Rothman. And so that's a real business. I mean, look, from an economic standpoint, I've got a finance background. You've got people like the F1 Arcade, and what they've been able to do is open 4 or 5 facilities. It's the sim version of Topgolf. They've raised a bunch of money through various investors, so that's important. Karting is very important to us. We'll continue to build out the platform relationships. We're going to do more as we look in the future. We'll have our own facilities. We'll have indoor facilities. We'll have outdoor facilities. That's part of our plan, and just to support what's going on. When it comes to racing, when it comes to training, we very much consider ourselves Switzerland. We don't care where you want to go in the space. We want to help you get there. And so we want to work with the platforms. We want to work with the teams. We race in SRO and IMSA. They're avid competitors. And so the karting piece is going to be bigger and better. And it's important, and it's a growth area. And on a retail basis, and important, you have to have the technical side of what you're doing, and you have to have the retail, the consumer side, because if we don't run a profitable business, we'll not be in business. And this is not an easy business. It's very capital and labor intensive. We love doing it, and there's no gimme in what we have to do and how we have to do it. And so for the benefit of the business, quite frankly, for the benefit of the industry, I can't tell you how many people come up to me and just thank us for being here, for taking a great brand that had some issues back in the day and now has come back to its full force. And in many instances is larger and more evolved than it was even during Skip's day. And he's a legend, literally.
Yeah, right. Does the proliferation of the various tracks around the country where the man caves and the storage of vehicles and they've all popped up all over the place, whether it's a thermal or an M1 or in Tampa, does that create opportunities for Skip Barber in the future where you could have some partnerships where some new racing facilities that are not homegrown by you, but where you could expand?
Absolutely. It's funny. And when I say listen to your podcast, I'm serious. And I was listening to, I think it was Aaron Weiss from the Concourse Club, right? Mm-hmm. And so I love anybody that speaks car speak. It's me, it's you, it's him, it's Jerry Seinfeld, who's a graduate. It's Al Pacino, who's a graduate. It doesn't, wow. There's a lot of celebrity in what, has come through. I recently have sat down with Jesse and John Bon Jovi. John's been out 2 or 3 times. Jesse's coming out this year to see us as well. But it's a funny world, and the market provides opportunities. So again, we're not inexpensive in what we do at all. We're efficient in getting people in a car and getting them on track and teaching them, but not inexpensive. And so, you have to generally bring, a fair amount of dollars. And some people, it's a bucket list scenario. They'll save 5, 10, 20 years to do this. And some people just are well heeled, or they're a C-suite individual. But it struck me that in one instance, we're like the democratization of this platform, because if you go to the Concourse, or if you go to Brad Olszewski's group down there at Motor Enclave, or you go to Thermal with that beautiful, beautiful facility, unless you're wealthy, you're not getting it. It's anywhere from, I've seen them for $20,000, I've seen them cost $5 million with real estate and stuff. So we actually allow the average bear to get in and participate and do what people, it's a similar, maybe analogy between a public and a private golf club. and again, we're not inexpensive, but you can't go to the Concourse Club and you can't go to Thermal. These days, you can actually visit. Thermal's done a wonderful job. They have IndyCar now, but we give the average bear the opportunity to do things that people consider a bucket list item.
Yeah, no kidding. Run us through for those who don't know, just a little bit of what you could offer the average bear.
There's so many neat things we can do today. We have our staple offerings, and that's our 1-day, our 3-day, and our 5-day programs. And these are, again, at the iconic tracks throughout the United States. That's Laguna, Sonoma, Coda, Sebring, Road Atlanta, VAR being our home base, Lime Rock Park in Lakeville, Connecticut, New Jersey Motorsports Park. And so those are 8 of what I consider a home tracks. And a home track typically to me is a place where we're more than 10 times per year. But also would be another 3-4 programs. So if you're just, a consumer of some sort, you can get involved in any of those programs. The Driving Academy is very important. We do some work on the off-road space. The Sims provide a lower price point. We do want to provide the Skip Barber experience at a lower price point without, distilling or without, depreciating the value of the experience. And so that means Sims, that means karting, that means some of the off-road stuff we do with side-by-sides or UTVs. And so we'll continue to do that. Corporate events is a big one. And sometimes a corporate event is one person, sometimes it's 150. And so that's a great opportunity to bring people out, to do something unique, to do things that you'll remember for the rest of your life. And it's really validating to have people come up to me and say things like, Dan, this is arguably the best day of my life. And I'm like, well, listen, don't tell your wife, don't tell your children. But after that, it's a pretty good deal. I mean, that's the emotion that is in. And the first thing I want to do, and I don't know that you've ever been out to one of our programs, but if you haven't, I'm going to invite. So we're going to fix that. So I'm going to invite you on behalf of the Skip Barber Racing School and my family to come out and do a 3-day program, because I try very hard to tell the story, and the reality is it pales in comparison to the experience. I guarantee you that. So what I'd like to do is have you come out, experience it for yourself. Again, like other celebrities, whether it's Jerry Seinfeld is a big one, and we've got 100 others that have come out to experience this. And then once you go through the program, maybe I'll have the opportunity to interview you.
Oh, that sounds fantastic for the Skip Barber podcast.
Well, yeah, no, that's in the works, if you will. But maybe we can just do an inverse on this program, which you do such a nice job of, and I do I plug in my earbuds or I'm in one of our Roush F-150 trucks, which are amazing. They're a partner of ours, and so it's something I enjoy and something you do extraordinarily well.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. As long as it's the 3-day Formula Racing School for the repressed, frustrated F1 driver in me.
and that's really important, right? So we have over 150 cars and wonderful sedans. We have a great relationship with a number of manufacturers. But the concept of getting into an open wheel car and the visceral feeling of that, being 2 inches off the ground on a real downforce car, it's funny sometimes. So one of our true trainers are Mustang S197 GT sedans that we've recreated. We built them. And so they have big transmissions and rears and brakes. And so they are amazing vehicles. But you may come out of a GT3 or an F8 or a Bugatti, and you get in that open wheel car, you don't know what to do with yourself. I have a great video I'll share with you of Ross Chastain, and he was on the track, and he said, "Hey, can I get an open wheel car?" I said, we'll get there. And he asked us a few times, so we put him in. It's a guy who drives 200 miles an hour for a living, and he was like, "That's unbelievable." He goes, and he had been doing other training during the day, but his arms were shaky. You have no power steering. You're one of which with the seat of that car, and it's. If you think it's good, it's better than anything you can perceive. And it's fun, it's interesting, exciting. There's a risk relevant to getting in that vehicle, quite frankly. There's not a whole lot around you, but it's an amazing experience. And one of the things we do extraordinarily well is we can get a consumer like yourself in a vehicle like that without any particular knowledge. And I'm sure you have experience, but even if you don't, and that's a testament to our instructors. getting them in a vehicle that's difficult and complex and technical, and having them have the capacity to learn and enjoy the experience. And it's an you're going to get 2-3 hours in a classroom. It's not just coming out and beating up vehicles. You're going to learn something. You're going to enjoy something. You're going to take that experience with you literally for the rest of your life. Every day you're in the street, you'll remember what we do. And that's why it's so sticky with our corporate and group events, because there's a connection daily between that experience and the people that were bringing you out to have that experience.
Well, I think it's the very essence of this program, Dan. It's cars and culture. You're building a culture at Skip Barber. You have built one, and you continue to nurture it, don't you?
It is so true, and it is. And as much as I say it's not an easy business, it is ultimately satisfying. The brand and what people take away from it, and there's a smile that will come over your face you cannot emulate in doing anything else, and it stays with you after that program. It's just amazing, and it's easy for the car people because they get it and they like it. When we bring somebody out who doesn't have knowledge or experience in that space, we did a corporate event for somebody from a large manufacturer, and he lived in New York City, and he had a license, but he didn't drive very much. And he was thoroughly intimidated. He saw that car and he did not think he could do it. He just had no sense that he could get in that car. And so he was worried about it. And then by the end of the day, he was going to leave. After the car control module was getting in the car, he said, listen, I've learned enough. I'll go from there. And we said, just stick around. Just let us take you where you need to go. Get to the program, gets in the car, and said, I did something today I didn't think I could ever do. So it's more than just fun. It's more than just cars. We give people the capacity to do something they never thought they could accomplish. And that's what we should do. And we should be productive, accomplishing people. And it's bigger than just fun. It's not just fun. It's not just technical. It's why it's so interesting. It's so validating to have this business.
Well, and the roster of individuals is a long one. You listed them off earlier, and many of whom have been on this program and or affiliated with the industry have been in your program, have been on my program. It is a testament to what you and your family have done, Dan. And congratulations on unbelievably nearly a decade being a part of this and nurturing and building car culture. It's fantastic.
Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate everybody in the space. Again, you're a good example of telling the story and understanding what car culture means to us, and it can be coming out to our program, whether it's a Cars and Coffee, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's just a different language. It's just a different experience, and there's a knowledge base that's created as well. So we're very fortunate to be sitting where we are. We think at the epicenter of racing in the car community, and to be able to just have the opportunity to speak to people like yourself is, it makes me lucky.
Well, I'm honored as well. Same here. And I will take you up on your offer, and then you can interview me. I think that's a done deal.
I'm going to make sure that happens, and you're going to enjoy it, and we'll enjoy it, and we'll have more to talk about, and we can go from there.
Great. Thank you for being on the program. He is at the epicenter of car culture at the Skip Barber Driving School. Dan, thank you.
Great to spend time with you. Appreciate the opportunity, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.